Welcome to our podcast this month. And Jeff, we got a really exciting guest with us to talk about our education workforce efforts here in Statesville. So I'm going to let you introduce him. And thank you for chairing our committee at the Chamber.
Oh, I love it. And I'm learning so much. And today we have David Stamey with Stamey Farms to talk to us about a new initiative that we've started this year. And that is talking about global opportunities and how they fit here in Ardell County. And we couldn't ask for anybody better.
Yeah.
So tell us about, you really came to the Chamber with the idea of what can we do more to highlight the global aspects of business here in Ardell County. So share with us what your passion is and how what we're doing to make those things happen.
Well, I don't exactly know where it started, but I'm going to give my dad credit.
Yeah.
Almost a year ago, my dad passed away in a tragic accident on our farm. He's a big inspiration to us all now. I'm going to give him credit because in 1975, he exported cattle for the very first time from North Carolina, I guess, Ardell County, and to Hungary.
Wow.
A plane load of cattle to Hungary in 1975 got things started for his global business, and I was only 5 years old at the time. And of course, as a little 5-year-old, I thought they were hungry in Hungary.
Yeah.
So, and my dad he bought cattle all over the country and Canada and shipped them all over the world. And after an international career that I had, 10 years in Mexico, came back and became his partner and learned a lot from him about shipping cattle around the world and farming in general. And now I just wanted to give back kind of in memory of him. This week I've had a very special project. We grew some sweet corn, and I knew that sweet corn would be coming up about the anniversary, and I've given out thousands of ears of sweet corn this week to people awesome. In memory of my dad. So,
that's nice. Thank you.
So he lives on, and but I think back to high school, and I had two people come into my classes. I think both of them were my junior year for whatever reason, and one that really stood out was. A lady came in, and she was some kind of an executive here in town, I guess maybe in global sales or something like that. But the story she told was one that just stuck with me forever. She told about Chevrolet trying to sell the Chevy Nova in Brazil, it was. And they couldn't figure out why it wasn't selling. But if you Nova for us means like a star or something like that. Right. Of course, it'd be great, right? Mm-hmm. Well, there it literally translates to does not go. It will not go. So, so that stuck with me as understanding not only language but also culture.
Right, and marketing to cultures.
And marketing to cultures, yeah. And another fellow came in, and he was a Hispanic fellow, and he told us about the word ganas. Ganas in Spanish. Ganas is desire, and it's unbelievable what can be accomplished with desire. And they were people that from the business community that came into the schools that they had no idea they were impacting me for the rest of my life. Wow. I have no idea who these people were, but they impacted me for the rest of my life thinking about desire and understanding language and culture. And so it kind of gave me an international bug, and then. Our business is exporting cattle around the world. So, and then 96% of the people live outside the United States. That's something I want everybody to realize is that.
That's a big number.
Yeah, only 4% of the world lives in the United States. 96% of the world lives outside the United States. So think of the opportunities that are out there. And I wanted to bring the community, the international community together here in Statesville because I just think that networking and never know when J.C. Steele, Max Steele is going to be in Russia somewhere, and next thing you know, he winds up with a cattle importer, or I may be in Mexico and wind up with some kind of a brick business contact for them. You just never know where these things are going to lead. Ours here in Statesville was very interesting as well because my dad shipped a lot of cattle to Ecuador back in the 80s and 90s. And they came to us 10 years after we shipped them 3 plane loads of jerseys and said that the daughter was a Harvard MBA. She had married a Harvard MBA from New York, and they wanted to invest here in the Mid-Atlantic in dairy processing. And we'd ship them cattle, and they had made a lot of money, and they were ready to invest in the United States, and said they wanted to start a yogurt factory here in North Carolina, and wanted to team with us. And right across the street was a defunct truck stop. And we went through all the procedures to get the no further action letter and all that kind of thing, and be able to hire G.O. Wilson to build local company here to build the state-of-the-art yogurt factory. And we bought the Mooresville Ice Cream people were ready to retire. We bought the Mooresville Ice Cream Company as the first step because they wanted to get a little feel for dairy processing and dairy marketing and sales and that kind of thing here before we actually got into the yogurt business. And we ran that for about 10 years or so. And a really good friend of ours now came in and bought the company right, I think it was on March the 1st, 2020. So you can imagine. He's all excited. He's got contracts lined up and everything. And then COVID hit a couple weeks later. And but he's done extremely well with it. And he's actually from Turkey. He's part of the Chobani family. He was he was in the initial founding of Chobani. I don't know I guess some people know that Chobani's owned by a fellow from Turkey, but he's a Kurd. So we get into the cultural understanding of how they're not Turks. Turks are different, I guess, ethnicity, but they're Kurds, and they're very proud of their Kurdish heritage. So, I mean, it's just the things that are here in Statesville that it's a great. We got a great story to tell here in Statesville, and my global group idea was very well received by Shannon and the chamber, and I really appreciate getting this thing kicked off. We hosted the first one out there. Halil, the owner of Origin Food Group, spoke and had a good little group as the first one. And now we're going to, you'll tell us a little bit more about this. We're going to Doosan coming up in September.
Yeah. So, and that's a great story on its own, just the whole merge of Doosan, Bobcat together. And you've got some little tidbits about Bobcat and how it started. And it's a great group, and it's kind of growing, and it's going to become whatever it needs to become. The other part of this is we want to go back to your roots, which is have these folks come talk to our kids so they understand what's happening. So somebody can get a spark like you had, in school, and know that this is available to you in good old Iredell County.
And hopefully to hear from somebody local,
Yes.
went to high school right here and had the opportunities that you had to see. Because I know I never thought about when they brought your name, I was like, cattle, global? I think Doosan, I think Denso,
Sure.
With that. But to think the opportunities, and you were saying before when we were talking about really marketing North Carolina, the opportunities throughout North Carolina, but here in Iredell County, the opportunities for that global flair is just amazing.
And I mean, there's so many of those stories, like you were talking about J.C. Steele, and they created or patented this way of making brick that was here, and now it's
Complete paradigm shift in the world of brick making happened right here in Iredell County.
yes,
Yeah, it's an amazing story to tell.
Yeah, I mean, there's just all these, and these are the stories we want to get out and share with the community, whether it's with the students or with just other business people. And I love what you said about, I might be in Mexico talking about cattle, but then something about brick comes up. So how do you, I mean, we do that like locally, we connect each other, but man, think about it on a global level. That's pretty amazing.
And for kids, because kids today are not like kids were even 20, 30 years ago. But for kids, I mean, I really think that that's a story that kids can really get excited about because it's more than just them. It's more than just Statesville, Iredell County, but the opportunities. And I think that's so exciting. Like you said, when you were in high school and had that opportunity to hear, these stories and to talk about why Chevy didn't work in another country, amazing opportunities. And that may be the spark that some of these kids need to continue that growth and to bring more opportunities to Iredell County.
Yeah. What other stories you got?
I just think along those lines, I think that we have an amazing program here, the International Baccalaureate program. And I think that's a perfect avenue to launch this global group concept because those kids are amazing students. They got amazing teachers and program, and they already have that international focus to what they're doing. So they're a prime target for what we want to do. To hit one kid with Ganas or Nova.
Yeah,
Nova. But then also the workforce development. We got to have a lot of people going into the workforce, and it would be good to let people know that Doosan is a South Korean company that's invested here, employing lots of people, growing and investing in big, beautiful buildings and making amazing products, importing products in, adding value to them, selling them here in the United States, and exporting those products around the world. Doosan itself is right there at the corner of I-40 and 77. It's just a really amazing story, and everybody, we all know that everybody's looking for good quality workers, and what a great place to work there at Doosan. And all these other companies here in Statesville as well.
When we took our kids from Boys and Girls Club there, I decided even at 60, I want to go to work at Doosan. I mean, it was amazing to see what they did and to see how everybody worked together in those lines. It was amazing to me. It was so cool. And the kids, the middle schoolers and the high schoolers from the Boys and Girls Club, they were excited. And they want to go to work there at some point. So it was great.
It's just is that opportunity to say, hey, this is what's here. It's just not a building that you pass by all the time when you're on your way doing your business. Let's go inside the doors and let's see. We got to get them in origin foods too. I've said that.
Yeah, Halil will really enjoy that.
Yeah. So we talked about maybe getting them going through his operation, because how he was explaining how they make the yogurt and
the ice cream and everything else.
It's not the way how I would expect it to be done. And it's state of the art. I mean, we're talking state of the art technology being worked and utilized. So I can't remember all what he said, how they made the molds, and it's just the process is so fast now.
Well, the old way, I'll just give you this because it's really, really interesting. The way that you make a popsicle.
Yeah.
Let's just make a chocolate covered ice cream stick, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's make that. The way that we did it in 2009 when we took over the Mooresville Ice Cream Company is we had it's kind of a tray, if you will, and the molds are there in the tray.
Right, kind of like the ice cube tray is what I'm
picturing
in my brain.
But instead of air cooling it, you have some kind of a special, very cold liquid under those molds.
Right.
And so they have a way of putting the soft serve ice cream into the mold, and at exactly the right point in time, where it's frozen enough to take the stick, they stick the stick in it. Yeah. Then the stick's frozen in it. And then it goes around and continues hardening. And then when it's ready to be pulled out, a defroster hits it so it can pull out of the mold. And then it goes over, it's held up and dips down into the chocolate. Wow. And then the chocolate dries, and then it puts it on a conveyor belt and takes it over somehow and puts it in the package. Right. So that was fascinating. That was really...
It's kind of like watching the Krispy Kreme donuts being made, right? It's kind of like you can just
actually
sit there.
Very, very similar to that.
It's like something you could just sit there and watch. You're just like, I'm obsessed with this. I don't know why, but it's super cool.
Very similar to that. But now the new technology is it comes down into a mold that's the shape of the ice cream. And it's a continuous process. Think about how that process is pretty kind of limited, I guess, the other process. Well, this one, the new process, it's a continuous process, and it comes through a mold that's the shape of, you've seen the Mickey Mouse one.
Yeah.
The Mickey Mouse goes through a mold, and it's cut with a little cutter as it's coming down, and then they stick the stick in it.
So instead of it having to do the freezing process all like that, it's already
yeah.
See, that's wild. Right?
Yeah, that's the way they do it now. Okay. So anyway, that kind of stuff is just it's really, really, really neat how things are made right here in Statesville, North Carolina. And interestingly, the technology, the paradigm shifting technology, and I need Max Steele to make sure I'm telling the story right. But his grandfather or great grandfather, whoever it was, J.C. Steele, my understanding, invented that extrusion process for brick making. Think about the way bricks used to be made for thousands of years. They were put into some mold. You'd wait for a while or whatever. And now, because the technology invented right here in Iredell County, they created, my understanding, that extrusion process for making bricks.
So it's almost like the frozen ice cream, but
exactly the same concept.
That's wild.
That is wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A little heavier duty equipment, though.
Sure. But I mean, I think it just makes it cool to me and so amazing is it's done right here in our community, and that's the stories we're trying to get out, so people know all the amazing things that we do. And not only is it made here, but it's exported out. And some stuff comes in and some it goes back out again. We talk about, Denso, they're a Japanese company, I believe, and they make every automatic part in your car, the windows going up, anything that's automated like that, they make those right here in Statesville.
And the cool thing about that, John Brown,
Yes.
Vice President, he started on the floor there and he's now one of the VPs.
Yeah.
So it's an opportunity for students to look and say, and when we took our kids there from Boys and Girls Club, they were just amazed that somebody local could actually rise up and be a vice president of a company here in Iredell County. Just to see those opportunities and to see his passion, and just like with you, to hear about those opportunities.
I want to tell you. I want to tell you about the economic development opportunities with exporting.
Mm-hmm.
With exporting, when I get a deal, I get a deposit from anywhere around the world. I get a deposit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, with that deposit, I start locking in cattle.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go. I say I find the cattle in South Dakota or wherever it may be. Okay, I catch a flight and spend that money. This is brand new money. That deposit is brand new money coming to the United States. So I catch a flight, so the airlines benefit. The car parking place benefits. The meals that I buy while I'm traveling. The hotel, the rental car in South Dakota, just as an example. Then I go to the convenience store to get me a snack on the way to the farm, because the farms aren't there at the hotels or at the airports, are they?
No.
I drive out to the farms, and then I get to the farm and I place a deposit on those cattle to buy those cattle, and then the vets come and do their work. I pay those vets. Then when the cattle are ready to go, I pay the farmer the full amount and all his employees. All his employees benefit from that, from having shown me those cattle and worked those cattle. And then I pay the trucking company to bring them maybe to the East Coast for isolation. And then I'm hiring another vet to operate the USDA isolation facility. And then I'm feeding them there for 30 days or 35 days or whatever the requirements are. And I'm hiring vets there and staying in hotels. And then the buyers come over and review the process. And we're going to restaurants. Now just think about every single penny I've spent is brand new money coming to the United States. So that's and then when the cattle are ready, then the USDA does their work. The government employees have their work because of exports. And then I've hired the people at the port, all the port people, buy hay and feed for the voyage of the cattle. All the port people, the documentation people, the insurance people. Every single penny is a stockman to go on the ship for me, or a veterinarian to go on the ship for me. So every single bit of that money is brand new money spent here in the United States when we do exports.
Wow. How long does it take to export a cow?
It depends on the requirements of the country, but most times it's let's call it almost a 90-day process, I guess, before they leave. By the time we get the deal done and line the cattle up and do the selection, get them into isolation, do all the isolation testing, all the paperwork, line up either the plane, and we put them into crates. You can see on Stamey Cattle on YouTube, you can see several videos of us both ways, shipping cattle by plane and by ship. But it's there's a lot to it, and I love it, and it's fun. It's always something different, and always dealing with somewhere different, and different people.
So
it's a lot of fun.
One of the things we do at the chamber is we stamp certificate of origins, so we get to see where stuff goes. And I would love to do cows. That would be fun.
Yeah.
If you ever
Well,
need
our documents people are based in Charlotte, so they wind up doing the certificates of origin for us. But we need to get you to do our certificates of origin. That's what we need to do.
I can do those, absolutely. But that's fun. I get to see where stuff's going, and I thoroughly enjoy that. And it's the Bridgeford Foods is another one that ships globally. Some of the product that they make here goes to other places. It's not necessarily sold here. But we were at the grocery store the other day and looking at jerky, and it was Bridgeford Foods jerky. And Max was like, "Oh, I wonder if this is any good." I said, "You know, that Bridgeford Foods is right here in Statesville or Iredell County." He goes, "No." I was like, "Yeah. I mean, it's right there in your Food Line grocery store." So very cool, right?
Very cool.
Yeah. All right, if you need me to ever stamp some cattle for you,
All right.
I'll do it.
Yeah. And another thing that you wouldn't know about here in Statesville are the world-class horses we have here in Statesville.
Yeah, talk about that.
They're imported from Holland, and I guess other parts of the world. But we have world champion. We have world champion horses here in Statesville. So it's just a matter of.
Are they like race horses?
No, they're different types of show horses.
Just show horses.
Yeah, not race horses here.
Okay.
No. But so that's something I've been learning about as we're in the hay business as well on our farm side of it. So we have the cattle company business, which is the export side of it, within the farm business, where it's corn and soybeans and wheat and hay. So we're learning about the world class horses we have here in Statesville, North Carolina as well.
If you talk with John over at the airport, he'll tell you some stories about who comes in and out of here too, just from a global standpoint. And we talked about the horses. Is that where we were talking about the horses the last time? Was that meeting or was it another meeting?
Yeah, I don't know. We had a Mexican client flying in his a Mexican cattle client, believe it or not, flying in his private jet to the Statesville airport to come visit us.
Yeah.
So that was really cool to go out on the tarmac and receive him out there at the airport and take him to the farm and so that's
I didn't realize that about the horses though till you told me that a few weeks ago. That was unknown. I bet I'm not a horse person, but I'm sure people that show horses probably know this, but not everybody does. And
not just the import export side of it, but we've got a lot of foreigners that live here as well, and they're business people and key employees at businesses, and it's just for everybody to have an understanding of how important the world is to Statesville, North Carolina.
Well, it's 96% of the world is outside of the United States. That's a wild statistic to me.
That is.
Brady's brought that up before too when we've talked about education and about how important it is and how we're just such a small dot on the whole scheme of things. And this is just another story to tell that. And how do we compete and do all those things? So this is how we do that. We expose our kids and our community to what's in their neighborhood. Otherwise, they won't know.
And we are super excited to bring this Education and Workforce Development Committee that we meet every second Thursday at Mitchell College, continuing ed. And so we're excited to see where we can take this, especially with students, to really get students excited. But not only that, adults that are just maybe they just want a new opportunity or to learn more about what opportunities are.
I think there's an opportunity for a lunch and learn kind of thing for the entire chamber as well, possibly.
Yeah. Absolutely.
To tell this global story, because everybody's got to eat lunch and may as well learn while you're eating lunch.
That's right.
But I'm excited about getting into those classrooms as well. And you know how it is. You got 30 kids in a classroom, and if you hit one of them, you've really hit a lick. And so it's going to be good. And our buddy Todd Williams with the schools is helping us coordinate some of that. So
yeah, we're fortunate. We've got a great school system, great community college. We got so many resources here. That can help young people or folks that have maybe been in the workforce for a long
let's
time.
add that in there. I had the IB program, and then workforce development. I guess that kind of ties in with the with Mitchell as well. What a resource we have here with everything Dr. Brewer's doing with Mitchell Community College.
Yeah, and I think you're seeing, we had Jen Bozer on here last time about iReal Ready and how we're just bringing all these pieces into one place. And so as we're meeting and talking, we're putting all this together so everybody can find it under iReal Ready's umbrella. So how that looks at the global level will, that's what we're working through too. So
it's gonna make we have an opportunity to have a more educated community here, which is going to help Jen with what she does in recruiting companies here that are more culturally aware, and that's going to be.
And you got all these partners working together to make that happen, which I think is a first in this community in a long, long time. So
I think forever.
Oh yeah,
for everybody to work together.
Yeah, so you got everybody at least on the same page, and how we get there is a collaborative, effort, in our different areas of expertise, so to speak. So, well, thanks, David. And we have you're welcome to join our global group if you're interested in learning more about that. And when we meet, just call the chamber, talk to me, Shannon, or call David, and he can give you or Jeff. Any of us are here. So thank you again, and we look forward to the next meeting of our global group, which is coming up pretty soon. We're going to be at Doosan.
Great place.
Exciting. Well, thank you all very much for having me,
Yeah.
and look forward to all we can do going forward.
All right.